A passenger's weapon accidentally discharged at the Atlanta airport, causing panic and halting flights. The incident occurred around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time when a prohibited item was detected in a passenger's property while going through the X-ray screening at the security checkpoint. Robert Spinden, the Transportation Security Administration's Federal Security Director for Georgia, said in a news conference. The property was flagged for a secondary search, he said. During that secondary search, the passenger lunged into his property, grabbing a firearm that was located inside, which ultimately discharged, Spinden said. The passenger then fled the security checkpoint through an adjacent exit lane with his firearm. We're fortunate that when the firearm went off, nobody was seriously injured, Spinden said. 3 people suffered non-life-threatening injuries, the TSA said in a statement. Atlanta police had previously said no injuries were reported. According to a source familiar with the situation, the injured were not shot but instead hurt during the evacuation. All of the injured were adults, the source said, and 2 were transported to the hospital. The discharged round went into the property of the person who brought the weapon, the source said.
The individual whose weapon was discharged was identified as 42-year-old Kenny Wells, according to Atlanta Police Department Airport Precinct Commander Reginald L. Moorman. We have taken out warrants for carrying concealed a weapon at a commercial airport, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, discharging a firearm and reckless conduct, Moorman said. We are actively pursuing this individual. Airport spokesperson Andrew Gobale characterized the discharge as accidental and said the loud noise created a sense of chaos. Erica Ziedler, who was traveling from Atlanta to Anchorage, Alaska, said she was sitting in a restaurant in Concourse D when people began running down the hallway. We thought they were late for a flight, and then more and more people started running, she told Acosta. There was some screaming and then somebody stopped and said, "There's a shooter, you need to go." An investigation into the incident remains ongoing, Gobale said. In the meantime, there is no danger to passengers or employees, airport officials said on Twitter. Officials gave an all-clear and the airport was resuming normal operations. A ground stop was called for the airport for all departing flights, per the Federal Aviation Administration, but was soon lifted. Details about the weapon or circumstances surrounding the accidental discharge have not been made available. The FBI and the ATF are providing investigative assistance to the Atlanta police, according to a spokesperson for the ATF. The White House is also monitoring the incident, a White House official said, referring questions to local law enforcement. Witnesses recount chaos after scare. Witnesses described confusion and disarray as panic erupted in one of the world's busiest airports. Ziedler and others took shelter in a TGI Fridays restaurant, she said. Photos she shared on Twitter showed a crowd of people standing on the tarmac beneath a jetway as the incident unfolded. Right now airport personnel is doing a really good job keeping everybody calm, he added. A few travelers were a little bit panicked but more frustrated, Romero said. They're trying to catch flights, to get out of the airport. For the most part, people are just lined up against the walls. Diane Callahan was traveling with her son and had just boarded her flight to New York when the crew closed the door to the plane. That's when she said she heard screams outside the plane. She also heard sirens, Callahan said, but didn't know what was going on. It was an extremely tense situation, she said. People were pushing to get on the plane that were not even on our flight. That's how scared they were. Callahan and her son were then sent to go back through security, she said. In response to the incident, Delta Airlines, which is headquartered in Atlanta, announced it was issuing a travel waiver to assist impacted customers. With this, the fare difference for customers will be waived when rebooked travel occurs on or before November 23, 2021, in the same cabin of service as originally booked, the statement said. Delta is coordinating with TSA and Atlanta airport officials to accommodate customers as quickly and safely as possible, the airline said. We are also working to proactively accommodate customers who may have missed a flight. Firearms being found at airport checkpoints is a huge problem, per TSA. According to the TSA statement Saturday, 450 firearms have been detected at the Atlanta airport's checkpoints alone in 2021. It can also be referred for criminal prosecution to the state where the airport is, Pate said. But in Georgia, if you have a carry permit, the security staff just needs to notify you that you've left a gun in your bag, and then you just take it out of the airport. So you're really prosecuted for doing something like this, especially in Georgia, which has very pro-gun right type legislation on the books. Saturday's incident underscores the importance of checking personal belongings for dangerous items before leaving the airport, the TSA said. Firearms, particularly loaded firearms, introduce an unnecessary risk at checkpoints, the agency said, have no place in the passenger cabin of an airplane, and represent a very costly mistake for the passengers who attempt to board a flight with them.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.